Good morning, everybody. Parashat Shavua, Parashat Emor. When we're talking about Parashat Emor, the beginning is very interesting. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, and the Lord said unto Moses, Emor el Kohanim, speak unto the priests, Bnei Aaron, the sons of Aaron, ve'amarta lehem, and say unto them, lenefesh lo yitama be'amav, for they, per son, shall none defile himself. A Kohen should keep himself pure, so he cannot be impure, so he has to be very careful about what he touches, where he goes. But the interesting thing here is that there is a word that is being used twice, and we don't need it twice. When we talk about Emor, is to say to the children of Aaron, ve'amarta lehem, and say unto them, you already said, Emor el Kohanim, say to the Kohanim, the sons of Aaron, the nefesh lo yitama, you should not impure yourself, you should not desecrate yourself, or whatever. Why do we need to, in the middle, another time, ve'amarta lehem, and you shall say to them? So one of the explanations is la'azir gedolim al aktanim, to warn the big ones on the small ones. In other words, the big ones have to teach the small ones about all those laws and all, to be careful with keeping themselves pure. And big means big in a meaning of knowledgeable, wise, clever, or parents. Big in status of they are the one who control other people. Anybody who is in charge or has the power on other people, and especially parents or teachers or a rabbi with his community, they have to warn, to teach their community, to teach their children what it's all about. And why is it so important in this case? Because we are talking here about an interesting situation. Imagine to yourself that you live in an environment which is a corrupt environment, not exactly the way you want to raise up your children, but you've got no option. You are there, and this is what you live with. What do you do? How do you act according to what's happening now? So the Torah is telling you, sometimes people can say, you know what, I'm giving up. What can I do? I am in a bad environment. My children are going to be influenced. No, the Torah says, Emor ve'amarta, you will say and say again and again and again till it will get in the head of the kid or whatever it is. In other words, you should never say, that's it. I cannot do it anymore. You always have the option to act and to try. You have to try harder. Yes, definitely. You have to try harder. For example, we're talking about a coin. That's the example. The child of the coin goes outside to play with other kids. He has a problem because if he touches something that is going to make him impure, he cannot eat this night dinner because they eat holy things that you have to be pure in order to eat them. From the other side, all the other kids, they don't care. They eat normal things. So the children of the coin have to be very careful because otherwise they cannot eat at home. They have to keep pure. So for them, it's a very difficult job. So people can say, I'm giving up. I cannot do this. So the Torah is telling him, no. There is never a situation that you cannot keep with it. Because if God put you there, there is an option. And here also, Emor ve'amarta. You will say and you will say again. And we'll see it in life that sometimes giving up is an option, but we all know that if you give up, you lost it. And we all know that sometimes in life, when you try again and again and again, it works. It works out. It's no problem. And this is what we're talking here, that never give up. There is always an option. I know that my kid had a problem in school. The schools today here are built in a certain way that, they can deal only with the general education. They can only deal with those who go in the line. But everybody who is out of the line, they cannot deal with him. Especially those who have all those description and ability, and they have problems with reading or writing. They don't know how to deal with them. So what do you say? Take Ritalin. Take this and take that. And that's why they can deal with the pupils. But that's wrong. That's not the way. So what do? So, for example, we had eventually to put a new class, special class, for our kid. We didn't give up. We tried. And trying to do something, it doesn't mean you have to stay in the place or the same situation. You have to try to change things. Never give up. So the Torah is telling you, even with the Kohanim, that they have to keep the kids very carefully, that they will not touch anything that they're not allowed to. Also, they have this job and they have to keep it. And Bezrat Hashem, they will manage it. Of course, the best thing is to live in a good environment, in a good place. Nothing to talk about it. Of course, it's the best thing to do. So when we're talking about our Parsha Emor, one of the main things in the Parsha is to be holy, or, as it says, let me see if I can find it quickly, ולא תחללו את שם אלוהיהם, and not profane the name of their God. קדושים תהיו, they shall be holy unto their God. You have to be holy to God and not profane the name of God. And Chilul Hashem and Kiddush Hashem, when we think about it, always the picture in our mind is Kiddush Hashem is to die on Kiddush Hashem. Yes, unfortunately, during the generation, we had those things happening all the time, but that's not the idea. The idea is to live on Kiddush Hashem. The idea is to learn and live on Kiddush Hashem. And this is what we want. God wants us, v'chai bahem v'lo sheyamut b'hem. You shall live with it and not chas v'shalom die with it. So how do you sanctify God? How do you be holy? So it sounds like a big job. Like to be holy. What do you have to do it? The Chatam Sofer says a very interesting thing. It says, v'lo techalelu et shem kodshi v'nikdashtem. You shall not profane my name and you will be holy. In other words, Chatam Sofer says, even if you don't do anything, you are ready. Don't do wrong, you're already on the right side. But don't do wrong, as we said before, it's not such an easy task. If you live in an environment which is a corrupt environment, a bad environment, it's not easy not to go with them. It's not easy to keep quiet. It's not easy to sit on the side and do nothing. You have to fight. You have to fight in order not to be a part of this society. In other words, sitting quietly and not doing anything wrong is not always easy. Sometimes it's very difficult. And this is the job that we have to do sometimes. Sometimes we live in a place that we have to fight. We have to keep on to ourselves. You know, the golden calf, people ask, what did the Am Israel sin? The real sinner died. So why are we paying till now on the sin of the golden calf? Because we didn't do anything. Because the big majority of Am Israel saw what's happening and didn't do nothing. Sit passive and do nothing is sometimes the worst thing you can do. Because when you do this, you agree with what's happening around you. You give them the right to go on. You are, with your silence, with your doing nothing, with your passive way, you are justifying their way. So, you should not do this. You cannot sit down and do nothing. You have to do Kiddush Hashem. You have to show them what is the right way. What is the way to go? Well, I think 2 weeks ago, the Rav Tzvi Haber, not the Rav Tzvi Haber, the Rav Avram Yeshayahu Zitzal died. This is the guy who was making sure that trying to make sure that everybody who has got a problem with his kidneys, he's going to find a kidney for him. And he was also one that had this done. And this guy, I read so many things about all the good he did and how holy he was. And really, this is a real tzaddik. But one of the things that caught me is when I read what his father wrote about him. You know that they blamed him with doing business with organs. Unbelievable, you know. This guy, a real tzaddik, what he done for people. And they tried to blame him that he is doing business with organs, selling them, buying them. And I'm reading here what his father was writing on him. He says, the interviewer was asking him, the police and the media, they hurt him a lot. What did you do about it? He says, mainly, he was hurt from the idea that he will have to stop and close Matnat Chaim, close his organization, and people will not have anybody to take care from them to get a kidney so they can live on. And they were investigating and interrogating, and for a whole year they were investigating him. And he didn't talk even one bad word on them. There were moments they told him, let's do something against it. And there was something to do. But he says no. And I'm not going anything against it. He had tapes that on the tape you had the man that was telling about him, the guy, and it was very clear that if you'd use it, he can go against him very nicely. And also, he didn't like to say to somebody you are mistaken, or you're lying, or it's not right what you're saying. The thing that he did is, he was silent. But he didn't go never to attack somebody else, never to shame anybody else, and never even to take revenge. We were talking about it last week, about V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, the way you should love your brother as you love yourself, and you should not have any caution against him, no jealousy, and don't go against him. It's unbelievable when we see this guy that they were blaming him, this guy who did so much chesed, blaming him with a terrible thing, and he didn't go against them. And of course, there are a lot of things. The interviews his wife, his father, and really unbelievable. This is a chesed. But you know what caught me this week is somebody sent me on WhatsApp an interview with a Chinese family that speak fluent Hebrew. And the small kid, age of 4, was saying to us in Hebrew, I know that people are sitting in insulation alone in their homes, insulated from the whole world. But hope and chesed and hope and love, they are not closed down. They can always spread. And this is a big thing for us. Even though situation is not easy, like we're talking like this, instead of having everybody sitting together and having a beautiful lesson. Unfortunately, we have to sit like this, but even in this position, we have to find, and we do, look around and see how many good things are happening around us. It's unbelievable. Our job is, Emor ve'amarta, is the big one have to tell the small ones. The wise one have to talk to those who are not so wise. The parents have to teach their children to go on with our way. Those people that gave their life for others, like this Rab Haber Zatzal, and a lot of others during our history. What do we do with this? How we justify our existence that they gave us? We have to be holy. We have to keep our way. There's a story telling about a guy who came to the rabbi, and he was talking he was telling how great guy he is. He says, my father was this rabbi, my grandfather was that rabbi, and my great-great-great-grandfather was this. He said, I want to ask you something. When you take a 0 and you put it at the right side of the 1, what have you got? 10. You take another 0, you've got 100, another 0, 1,000, and go on. But if you take the same 0 and put it on the left side, what have you got? The 0 stays 0. He says, where are you? You're telling me about your parents, your great-great-parents. So are you on the right side or on the left side? Are you going on in their ways, or you're going the other way? Because if you're going the other way, you disconnected yourself from the chain. So you were a 0 and you stay a 0. And this is an important lesson for us to pass over our tradition. The Torah is telling us, Emor el hakohanim bnei Aaron, tell to the priest, the children of Aaron. 1 minute. Why? The normal thing to say in Hebrew would be, Emor el bnei Aaron hakohanim. Because first of all, you put Aaron, and then you put them. But the Torah is telling us, hakohanim bnei Aaron. And no mention that Aaron is a Kohen. We all know it. What's the idea behind it? You know, when you want to find out who is the important guy, for example, you say this guy is the son of the prime minister. So who is the important guy? The father, because he is the son of the prime minister. So his father, the prime minister, is more important than the son. And if you say this is the father of the prime minister, again, who is important here in the picture? The prime minister, because he is the father of the prime minister. Here it's written, hakohanim bnei Aaron. Is to tell us a lesson. Who is important here? Bnei Aaron, the children of Aaron. Why are they important? Because, you know, as I said with this story, interesting story, it's very nice to talk about a guy that comes and tells us all his the dynasty. But at the end of the day, who are you? You know, sometimes it's very difficult to go in the footsteps of our parents and our great-great-parents. But that's our job. We have to try to do it. And it's a hard job. People think if you are born into a good family, so you are definitely going to go to be good. It's not so simple. Because what we expect from somebody who was born in a good family is much more than a guy that was born in a bad family. In other words, the job of somebody to keep on the ways of his parents, of his inheritance, the way of his parents and great-great-parents, it's not such easy. And you have to earn it. It says, the Berel HaKohanim bnei Aaron, they earned it. We have also to earn the holiness. We have to build it. Says the Torah, if you bring a sacrifice to say thank you to God, you have to do it for your own free will. And there is a very interesting question. Why? Is anybody going to bring a sacrifice to thank God not willingly? So what it's all about? The idea is very simple. Sometimes we don't realize, understand, that when we say thank you to God, it's not only thank you about the relief, about the miracle, about us being good and well, on us getting out of a problem. No, we have to say thank you to God on the whole package. A lot of time in life, what we think is bad is the best for us. Nevertheless, our belief is that whatever God is doing is also good, is always good. And if you say thank you to God, you have to take it in your mind that when you say thank you say thank you not only about Him saving you. You also say thank you for the whole procedure, even for the problem you had, even for the sorrows you had, because they led you to a better place. Because who put you there in this position? Only God. And if God put you in this position, He's our Father in heaven, He loves us. It must be good. I can say, for example, a few years ago, we had a problem with our warehouse. We took a logistic firm, and they were dealing with all the taking stuff and bringing it to all the customers, delivering it. And we thought we did the best thing in the world. Unfortunately, it didn't work so good. Delivery wasn't done on time. We had problems with the stock, and then they had a flood. Oh, so many problems, unbelievable. And we were really in a terrible situation because people didn't get your stuff, didn't get what they ordered. And there were cancellations, and we lost money. And in the flood, we also lost stuff that went finished. And then we understand that we have to find a new warehouse, and we cannot rely on a logistic firm. We have to deal with those things by ourselves because it's difficult for somebody else to deal with, because it's boxes that you have to take parts and they pack in. I'm not going to I want to cut the story short. Anyway, we were looking for a warehouse, couldn't find it. We found something very nice for us, but very expensive. And then we said, you know what? Let's ask the guy who was doing the business for us in the logistic firm. And we didn't exactly, it didn't work good. But he says, what can I lose? I'll ask him. We asked him. And he told me, you know what? I've got somebody that I used to work with once. And he brought us to this place. And we find exactly the warehouse we want in a very good price. And from that day on, the business goes much better. Now, who could think about it when we were having all the problems with the old warehouse? But God, He did it. Because if we wouldn't have gone through this procedure, to this failure with this warehouse, with the logistic firm, we wouldn't think and wouldn't get to the point where we are today. In other words, we thank God for the first warehouse and, of course, for the second warehouse. And that's in life also the same story. We have to thank God about everything, because at the end of the day, everything is for good. And we have to understand and realize that we have a tradition, a holy tradition, and we have to keep it. We have the right of our fathers. We have the right of those heroic people that gave their life for other people. Unbelievable things are being done. And we have to say thank you for everything. And we have to go on with our way and never forget that we, in order to keep the way, even if it's difficult, emor ve'amarta, we will say and we will say again. We will try and we'll try again. I will end it with another interesting story. Sometimes in education, we feel we don't do anything. I remember years ago, I was smoking. But I was smoking very small, very little. And one day I find out that a new box of cigarettes, took me, let's say, sometimes 2 weeks to smoke. Every 2 days, it's empty and I have to buy a new one. Later on, I found out my son started smoking. Now, what do? That minute, I decided I'm stopping. Why? So I'm going to tell my son, don't smoke. What is he going to tell me? Don't smoke? You're smoking. So I stopped smoking. I told him it's not good. He says, okay, you know what? Till your age, I will smoke. And at your age, I will stop. What can you say now? I didn't go back smoking. I stopped smoking. I took him to a hospital. I showed him what's happening to people who smoke. So let's say 2 minutes later, he threw the box, but then 2 days later, he again started. But I kept on not smoking and trying to show him that it's not the best thing in the world to do. Today, my son doesn't smoke. I could give up. I could start smoking by myself again because it doesn't work. But I knew, emor ve'amarta, you never give up, especially things like this. You have to go on, and believe me, it works. That's what God is telling us. It doesn't matter in what situation you are. It doesn't matter what level you are. The holiness is there. You just have to find it, discover it, and build it again. Be'ezrat Hashem, we will all build our holiness that is built especially on chesed. Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. That's the basic, main thing. And this is the message we transfer to the next generation. This is holiness. Kedoshim to you. All the best.